course 1. Today we are going to cover class 7 and 8. So in class 1, we talk about the lineage. In class 2, we talk about the importance of the three principal paths. Class 3, we talk about getting a teacher. Class 4, we talk about authentic Dharma and how to be a good student. And then 5, 6, we talk about renunciation. 7, 8, which is today, we are going to talk about bodhicitta. 9, 10, we are going to talk about the correct worldview. Okay. I'm repeating the table of content so that at least you remember what we are talking about, what we are covering in ACI 1. Okay. A lot of people ask me, how do I memorize the names? How do I memorize the content? How do I know all the details? I start from memorizing the table of content. Okay. So once we memorize the table of content, we have a structure to put the details. Yeah. Remember, imagine if you have storeroom, right? And then in order, I think Pearly will be very familiar because she's doing interior design. Or Su Ray also very familiar, right? Those of you doing interior design. If you have a storeroom, you need to have some structure or cabinets for you to put the things. So the table of contents serve as the structure for you to parks all the information, to hang the information around. So step number 1 is to memorize the table of content, besides knowing the title, right? So please remember the title, Basic Principles of Buddhism. And the main content is basically the three principal paths, okay? Okay, now before we start, right, I would like to mention the Moodle platform is optional for people who wants to do the homework. But of course, I strongly suggest you to do the homework. And then the text is also in there. And then the video links are in there. But I am thinking for those of you who just want to listen to the recording, I'm going to send the links maybe after day 5, after Thursday, okay? So once we complete all the 5 days, I'm going to prepare a playlist in the YouTube so that you can watch them, okay? Yeah, I think I will just create a playlist in YouTube. So for those of you who want to listen or want to revise, you can just go to YouTube. But for those of you who wants to do the homework, who wants to read the reading, then you can go to the Moodle platform. And I strongly suggest that you go to the Moodle platform. But again, this is optional, okay? Don't be afraid and don't tell me that I don't want to attend because I don't want to do homework. No, please don't do that, okay? So if you don't want to do homework, it's okay. But please listen to the teaching because the teaching is very precious, very precious. All right. I'm not saying that my teaching is precious, but the content is very precious because this is the teaching by J. Tsongkhapa, Pabongka Rinpoche, and Geshe Michael. My teaching is not precious. Oh, sorry. I'm teaching something precious, but it's not because of me, but it's because of the holy beings preparing the course. Okay. Okay, let's start with our PowerPoint as usual. Yeah. Remember to ask your questions if you have any, okay? I can guarantee you tomorrow there will be many, many questions, okay? Because tomorrow is the correct worldview and it's a bit difficult and the class will be pretty long. Okay, so class 7 and 8, we talk about bodhicitta, Jangchup Kisen, right? So basically this is extending the renunciation to all living beings. Renunciation is for us personally, but bodhicitta is for, yes, mandala, I forgot, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let's do mandala first. I'm sorry, my teacher. I always forget this part. Thank you, Jensen and Inghui, to remind me. Okay, Inghui, can you help with the mandala?
Can
Okay.
Okay. Tashi Puki
Puki
Juksi
Juksi
Leto
Letotram
Viram
Viram
Lingshi
Lingsi
Ninde Gyempadi Sange Shindu Nikte Uwagi Dropun Namda Shingla Chupasho Idam Guru Ratna Mantala Kanyapayami Sange Chudang Soki Chonam La Jamchu Bardu Daki Gyapsu Chi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sunam Pi Drola Penche Sange Dupasho Sange Chudang Soki Chonam La Jamchu Bardu Daki Gyapsu Chi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sunam Pi Drola Penche Sange Dupasho Sange Chudang Soki Chonam La Jamchu Bardu Daki Gyapsu Chi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sunam Ki Drola Penche Sange Dupasho.
Thank you, Inghui. Okay, let's start. Let's continue with the PowerPoint. So renunciation is for ourselves, and then bodhicitta is for all beings, right? Which is the wish to become enlightened for the sake of all beings. I think this definition has become so, sounds a bit cliche, right? Because we have been repeating it so much. And today we are going to really discuss what it means. And this is considered the shorter definition of bodhicitta, as explained by Lord Maitreya, who is the future Buddha, right? The official translation, official definition is even longer. And we are going to only cover that in ACI course 2, which is ACI course 2. By the way, I have set the date. I don't know whether it's okay with all the translators, but tentatively I put it in December. Okay, I put it in December. I am thinking of doing it from 17 December to 21st, right? After the Vietnam Lam Rim and Advanced Level 2. 17 December is an auspicious date because it is Geshe Michael's birthday. So that is my plan, okay? But of course, this is subject to translators' availability. I just let you know the dates first. Okay, so yes, the long definition of bodhicitta is going to be covered in ACI 2. And this is the short definition, which is pretty easy to memorize, right? So benefits of having, so we are going to cover these 3 topics: the benefits of having bodhicitta, how to develop bodhicitta, and how you know that you have bodhicitta, right? So let's start with the benefit. There are 9 benefits of having bodhicitta, right? When we have bodhicitta, right, all our good deeds become a cause for omniscience. So remember, there are 2 ways, there are 2 things. There are 2 obstacles to Buddhahood, right? The first one is obstacles to the mental affliction or obstacles to the negative emotion. And then the second one is obstacles to omniscience, right? Obstacles to mental afflictions or the negative emotions, we do it by doing what? How do we overcome that? We do it by renunciation. Okay, we do it by renunciation. And then obstacles to omniscience, we do it by having bodhicitta. Of course, obstacles to mental afflictions or the negative emotions, if we want to do it faster, we can attend level 6, okay? Which is talking about the freedom from addiction or freedom from negative emotions, right? So bodhicitta is very important if we want to get rid of the obstacles to omniscience. So once we have bodhicitta, all our good deeds will become the collections for omniscience. And then when we have bodhicitta, we become a person worthy of the honor of all beings. Geshe Michael said that when we have bodhicitta, right? When we have bodhicitta, when we have bodhicitta, we become bodhisattva. Okay, when we have bodhicitta, we become bodhisattva. And if we are a bodhisattva, people serving us will be able to receive great merits. Geshe Michael give an example that when you go to Starbucks, for example, the barista who serve us will receive great seats. We can rejoice on this. We can feel happy for this. Wow, I helped another person. We have helped another being to collect all the good seats. And then we outshine practitioners of the lower path, right? Practitioner of the lower path here. Basically, there are 3 paths. Okay, we call it the listener path, the self-made Buddha path, and the Bodhisattva path. We are going to talk further on this one later when we go to the reading, okay? And then the 4th benefit is the tiniest good deed we ever do becomes a spiritual practice of the greater way. So Geshe Michael's example is that even when you are sitting at McDonald's, and then you see birds, and then you feed them with the French fries, even a tiny good deed becomes a spiritual practice of greater way. I would like to imagine when I'm washing my dishes, you know, when I'm washing dishes of my family. So even this little bit of good deed will become a spiritual practice of the Mahayana. Number 5 is the good deeds we do become the activity of the bodhisattva because we are a bodhisattva. So if we are bodhisattva, a little bit things that we do will become bodhisattva's activities. And number 6, the Buddhas will look upon us as their son or daughter. So when we become bodhisattva, when we have bodhicitta and become bodhisattva, we enter the Buddha's family as their children, sons and daughters, right? So beautiful, huh? Number 7, and then in the family, all other bodhisattvas will consider us as their brothers and sisters. Yeah, beautiful, right? Number 8, by achieving the wish, we have entered into the greater way, which is the Mahayana. And finally, it is possible that we will reach enlightenment in one lifetime. Okay, so these are 9 benefits of the becoming a bodhisattva by having bodhicitta. Okay, so this is basically what we have for class 7, which is pretty short. Now let's go through the homework, right? Homework is also pretty easy. No, let's go back. Let's come back later. Let's go to the text. Let's go to the text. Reading 7. Reading 7 is talking about the bodhicitta, the wish to achieve enlightenment for every living being. So this is the first part, why we need the wish for enlightenment, right? Let's read the phrase here. Number 6, renunciation, though, can never bring the total bliss of matchless Buddhahood, unless it's bound by the purest wish, and so the wise seek the high wish for enlightenment. Yeah, so this is basically talking about the Buddhahood cannot be reached if we only have renunciation. We need to have the bodhicitta. You may be able to gain some fierce feelings of renunciation as we described above. Any good deeds you do under the influence of renunciation, though, can only bring us to ordinary nirvana. Renunciation alone can never serve to bring us to omniscient enlightenment, meaning Buddhahood. We can see this from the fact that even practitioners of lower paths, people who call themselves listeners and self-made victors or self-made Buddhas, can possess true renunciation. Yeah. So this is from Pabongka Rinpoche. This path, those paths of the enemy destroyers or listeners and the self-made Buddha will never bring us to Buddhahood. Why? Because those people lack the wish to achieve enlightenment for a real living being. Those people lack of bodhicitta. If you do gain this great wish, the bodhicitta, you become a person who truly deserves to have the entire world. So this is then the benefit that we just discussed, right? With all its different kinds of beings up to humans and gods. So we receive an honor of becoming worthy of respect by others. And then we get into a different class of being, yeah, which means that we completely outshine the listeners and the self-made Buddhas, which are the practitioners of the lower path. Every good deeds that we do, yeah, even down to throwing a scrap of food to some wild bird, like in a McDonald's, feeding them with French fries, becomes a practice of the Mahayana. And all the good deeds that we do becomes a cause for our future Buddhahood. And those good deeds becomes the way of life of a bodhisattva, becoming a bodhisattva's X, right? All the countless Buddhas in all the 10 directions of space will look at us as their children. And all the great bodhisattvas will look at us as their brother and sister. Okay, this is basically the benefit of the bodhisattva. So that's reading 7. Now let's go through the notes. So here, listeners and self-made Buddhas, right? Practitioners, wrong spelling, who have not yet developed the highest motivation of attaining Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. So practitioners who don't have bodhicitta. So these two, right, refers to them. Listeners are called this name because they can listen to the higher teachings and can teach others, but they don't practice the instructions themselves. Yeah, so they can listen to the teaching, they can teach, but they don't practice. Self-made Buddhas can reach their goal without relying on a spiritual guide in this life, but they should have gone through extensive instruction by countless teachers in their past life, right? Sometimes we like to joke, during Buddha's time, those smarter people, after they listen to Buddha's teaching, they become arhat. Smarter in terms of spirituality, right? Those who are less smart, those who are not as smart as the first group, they don't become arhat, but they take numerous lives with many, many teachers, and at their last rebirth, they became self-made Buddha. Okay, but at least they reached that goal, right? But it doesn't mean that they don't have any teacher. Yes, during the last life, they don't have teacher, but they should have gone through countless life with countless teachers. In enemy destroyers means arhat, yeah. So arhat means those who are out of the will of suffering, right? And those people have permanently defeated the enemy of mental afflictions. That's why they are called enemy destroyers. Yeah, arhat. Arhat is a Sanskrit, means worthy of respect. Worthy of respect. Yeah, arhat. I think I'm correct. So, yeah, I think I'm correct. So mental afflictions here refers to negative emotions, which are desire, anger, and ignorance. So after they get rid of those three, they therefore achieve nirvana. Do these three ring any bell to some of you? Desire, anger, and ignorance. Does it ring any bell? Anybody? So what is that? Desire, anger, and ignorance. Does it ring any bell? Does anyone think of something when you hear this? Yes, three poisons. Three poisons, right? And specifically, where are they located? Oh, well, three poisons is located in the center of the wheel of life. How about yoga perspective? How about yoga perspective? These three are referring to Ying Hui. Where is Ying Hui? I don't see Ying Hui.
Left, right channel, is it?
Yes, left, right, and central channel, right? The reason I'm calling Ying Hui because she's our DMO yoga boss. She's our DMO yoga boss, right? So yeah, this is related to yoga, which is left, right, and center channel, right? Okay, let's continue. Oh, that's it. All right. Okay, let's go to class 8. Wow, so we are so early today. Okay, let's continue with class 8. All right. Let's continue with class 8. And I think we have a chance to go to class 9 because tomorrow will be long classes. How to develop bodhicitta. So there are two ways. And there are two ways. The first one is exchange self and others. So those of you who have attended DCI level 8, you will be very familiar. Daksenyamde, which is exchange self and others. In level 8, we talk about equality practice and exchange practice. Equality, we are going to discuss about it later. Yeah, and then this is the exchange. To develop bodhicitta, there are two methods. Yeah. And according to the scripture, both methods are equally good. So the first one is exchange self and others. The second is the 7 steps, cause and effect. All right. So exchange self and others, basically put ourselves onto others, try to imagine what the you think of that other person and do as much as possible to make the other person happy. Make the other person's happiness the most important thing, right? So this is a simple explanation in ACI 1. But if you come to DCI level 8, it is more, I would say it is deeper. In fact, we talk about this in ACI, I think in ACI 10, I think, and 14. And 14, yeah. I think we talk about this. I think the ACI 10 is talking about the way of life, Bodhisattva's way of life, part 1, and then ACI 14 is talking about developing a good heart, lojong, right? So we are not going to talk about this in detail here. Instead, we are going to discuss on this second method, the 7-step cause and effect. Yes. So some people call it 7 cause and effect. I call it 7-step cause and effect on mother. What does it mean? It is related to how we practice this. So step 0. So actually it's 8 steps, but it starts from 0. Cause step 0 is equanimity. In DCI level 8, we call it the equal practice of equality. Practice of equality, right? So we are going to do meditation on this one later, but I will just explain simply to you, so at least you understand, right? So equality means this explanation is mostly for step number 1, right? So during countless lifetimes over limitless time up to the present, each person has been all things to everyone else. And so everyone ultimately has an equal relationship, okay? This is a good description. Yeah, this is a good description. And basically equanimity means You know the term BFF, right? I like normally when I see Instagram, you know, people like to put BFF and then they put a lot of hearts. So when we understand that we have gone through countless lifetimes, yesterday we did this reflection, right? If we analyze our mind, our current mind must have come from previous moment of the mind from the previous moment, and so on and so on. And then if we were to trace this back, we will go to the time when we were first born. And then the mind at the moment when we were first born must have come from the moment when we are in the womb. And then we trace back all the way to the moment when the mind, at the first moment when we first conceived in the womb. And that is the first moment when we first had the heartbeat. And that mind must have come from the moment before that. And that is the previous life. And if we were to continue to do this again and again, we will be able to trace to all our previous lives. And then when we go through all those previous lives, right? Yes, this life we are born in this human body, but how do we know that we were also in a human body before? We might have been born into a body of some other beings. Maybe beings in the animal realm, maybe beings in the hell realm, maybe beings in the hungry ghost realm, you know. Even in the human realm, right? Every life, when we were born, there must be a mother. And then when we were born into animal realm, there must be a animal's mother too. So in every birth, we must have a mother in whatever realms, human realms, animal realms. Yeah. So if we were to go through this logical thinking, not only that we have gone through many lifetimes in in all the realms, but during those journey, we have many mothers before. And we can conclude that all beings must have been our mothers during those births, right? Even our current mother in this current life has been our mother for many lifetimes, not just this life. Yeah. So this is one idea. The other idea, our BFF, our best friend forever in this lifetime, might be our worst enemy in previous life. And then our worst enemy in this life might be our BFF in our previous life. So that means everybody has been both our BFF and our worst enemy. Everybody must have been our dear mother in our previous lives. And this is not just applicable to human beings, but to all living beings, including the fried chicken that you eat at Kentucky, the beef patty that you eat at Burger King, and so on, okay? Or the fish, the seafood that you eat at the seafood restaurant, or the insects that you see crawling around your table. Those people must have been our BFF or our worst enemy or our mothers. So this is the meaning of equanimity, right? So because of that, everyone ultimately has an equal relationship. So now, using the same thinking, we need to be able to recognize that all kinds of creatures in countless lifetimes and all beings must have been our mothers. Must have been our mothers. So this is number one. Number two, after we recognize them as our mothers, Step 2 is to recognize, to remember their kindness. Yeah, if you start to think of how your mother has been taking care of you, starting from the 9 months pregnancy, all the way until the time you were born, when you were still a baby, taking care of you until you went to school, even worried about your study, worried about whether you get married, whether you get a good job, whether you have a children, and so on, you know. So remember their kindness when they were our mothers. And step number 3, so each step will cause the other. So after you recognize that we start with equanimity, and then we recognize them as our mother. Remember, after recognizing that, we remember their kindness. And step 3 is that we set the intention to repay their kindness. Yeah. So the text said, imagine that the mothers are in a fire pit, and it is our duty to rescue her. Okay, it is our duty to rescue her. Okay, this is step number 3. Now, these three steps will be the cause of the step number 4, which is love. Love. So once we realize that, once we set intention to repay their kindness, we will then have to develop the love for all people around us, because they have been our mothers. And our love has to be so great that it is with intensity of a mother for her only child, and wish that they could have every good thing. So this is love. Love is wishing all the good things for others. And this love will be the foundation for number 5, which is compassion. Compassion is the reverse of love, meaning that we want all beings to be free of suffering. Love means we want all beings to have all the best that they can get. Number 5, compassion is we want them to be free of suffering. It has to be a great compassion. And number 5 will be the cause of number 6, which is decide to help no matter what. No matter what, even if I have to do it alone, I will do it even if I have to do it alone. Laksam namdak. Yeah, I think in Come of Love, I forget which question. It's called The Buck Stops at Me. The buck stops at me. Yeah. So decide to help everyone, even if you have to do it all yourself, regardless of the difficulty, without being discouraged, even if no one helps you. Laksam namdak. And once we have this Laksam namdak, number 7 will be bodhicitta. So we achieve the wish to become enlightened for the sake of every living being, yeah, which is to develop bodhicitta and become a bodhisattva. Now, why do we say bodhicitta is to become enlightened for the sake of all living beings? You remember when we recognize the mother, and then we remember the kindness, and then we decide to repay them, right? Repay means we decide to help them. So recognize them as mother, remember their kindness, and number 3, decide to help them. Now, of course, we should help them with our best ability, but people say, how can I help them? I'm also suffering. I don't have enough money. I have relationship problem. My health is not good. I don't have a good peace of mind. How can we help them? You are right. We cannot help them much. We cannot help them much. Therefore, we need to become enlightened. Yeah, we need to become enlightened. Or in the context of our teaching here, it means that we have to become very successful so that we can help all beings who have been our mothers. Okay, so here, because of our current limitation, we are still going through the wheel of suffering with all the pervasive suffering, inherent sufferings. We cannot help them optimally. although we know that, although we recognize them as our mothers, although we remember their kindness, although we also want to help them. And then number 6, just now, we decide to Tlaksam Namdak, which is we decide to help with all our ability, regardless of the difficulty and regardless of anyone helping us, but we are still limited in our ability. That's when we need to develop the bodhicitta. We need to have this very, very strong wish to be enlightened. We need to have this very, very strong wish to become very, very successful, because if we are not enlightened, because if we are not successful, all those beings who have been our mothers have no help at all, have no help at all. So this is why it's very important to set this bodhicitta with this very strong intention. Hey, no matter what, I need to become enlightened. I need to practice. I need to become very successful. Not just for, we always say we want to become role model. Yes, it's good to become role model in DCI, but in ACI, we want you to help all the beings who have been our mothers. Okay, so this is very important, right? That's why we always say to become enlightened quickly for the sake of all beings, because they are our mothers and we can only really help them when we ourselves are enlightened and very successful. Okay, so this is basically the 7 steps. So bodhisattva is also defined as a bodhicitta warrior, right? So when you sincerely want to help all beings from samsara and the desire to become enlightened, you become a bodhisattva. So bodhisattva is focused on helping others and focused on their own enlightenment. Okay. In ACI 2, we are talking about the 3 attitudes, right? To become enlightened. The first attitude is that bodhicitta. I need to become enlightened first so that I can help all beings. The second attitude is that, okay, let's become enlightened together. The third attitude is that, no, I will delay. I will stop my enlightenment first. I will postpone my enlightenment so that I can stay in this world to help all beings, become enlightened first, and then I'll take my enlightenment. Pop quiz. Which is the correct attitude? I become enlightened first, or I become enlightened together with others, or I help others become enlightened first before I take my own enlightenment? Shinta, I see Shinta say number 3. Okay. Anybody choose number 1? Yes, and Chong say number 1. Anybody choose number 2? Okay, Ivo say number 1. No, nobody supports Shinta. No, just joking. Yeah, the answer is number 1, Shinta. Okay. I can understand where you're coming from, but number 1 is correct. Because why? Because you can't delay your enlightenment, because if you are not enlightened yet, how can you help all the beings fully? We cannot. Yeah. So therefore, we need to become enlightened first, and then using our omniscience ability to manifest. Yeah. To manifest. Sorry, I forgot the term. 化身. Emanation, okay? So after we become enlightened, we use our emanation bodies, come back and help all the beings. That is the best, because, yeah, nirmana kaya, correct. So it's wrong idea to say that bodhisattva delays their Buddhahood so that they can help all beings, yeah? In modern English term, it's called BS. I'm sorry to use the term. My wife will complain, cannot use the term. Cannot use the term, but to me, it's really BS, right? So you have to become enlightened first so that you can help all beings through your nirmana kaya, through your emanation bodies, okay? All right, so this is basically on the topic of bodhisattva. Let's continue. How to know that you have bodhicitta? You can say that you have bodhicitta when you cannot bear the suffering of all living beings in samsara, even for a moment, and the desire to reach full enlightenment arises in an instant for the benefit of all living beings. Okay. Okay, now I want to talk a bit about bodhisattva with big B and small b. Okay. So all of us who have this bodhicitta, right? All of us who have bodhicitta, all of us who wants to become enlightened quickly for the sake of all living beings, the moment we take the promise to do what it needs to be done, to do the bodhisattva actions, we become bodhisattva, okay? The small b. So the moment we decide that, hey, I want to become enlightened quickly to help all living beings, and I promise to do what it takes to be a bodhisattva, yeah, not just promise, but to do, then we are a bodhisattva. But this is small b, okay? And then the moment we get into the direct perception of emptiness, we become a bodhisattva with a big B, okay? And that is we call bodhisattva level 1. Bodhisattva level 1, okay? There are 10 levels, and we are going to discuss further on this one tomorrow, okay? So don't miss tomorrow, huh? So that is on the bodhisattva, all right? Okay, let's go through the homework quickly, and then we read the text, and then I want to go to this meditation. Yeah. So share screen and homework. Give an explanation of the two parts of the word bodhicitta. Does it refer to Buddha's mind? Body and citta, right? Body and citta. Body refers to citta is mind. Body is enlightenment. So a lot of the wrong definition is Buddha's mind, right? Buddha's mind. The correct definition is that the mind who wants to become enlightened quickly for the sake of all living beings. Yeah, so that is bodhicitta. Okay, so don't go into the wrong idea that bodhicitta means Buddha's mind. It's not. Okay, Buddha's mind or emptiness of the Buddha's mind is another term. Yeah, Tathagata Garbha. Okay, Buddha's mind. When do you become a bodhisattva? I mentioned when you have bodhicitta. When you have bodhicitta and promise to do what it takes to become a bodhisattva, then you become a bodhisattva. Therefore, has every bodhisattva seen emptiness directly? The answer is yes or no. Yes or no? This is a small b, remember? It's not a big B. So if it is a small b, the answer is no. Not every bodhisattva has to see emptiness directly. Yeah. So you can become a bodhisattva with a small b before you see emptiness directly, and it becomes a big B when you see emptiness directly. Can you reach nirvana, meaning become an arhat and remove all your mental afflictions before you become a bodhisattva? Can you? Yeah, Alice nodding her head. Yes, you can. Yeah. Example, those from the lower path, right? Arhat and listener and self-made Buddha, they reach nirvana. Oh, here, Arhat. They reach nirvana or become Arhat before they, or even if they don't have bodhicitta. It's possible. Yeah. Name at least 6 benefits of developing the wish for enlightenment. Name at least 6 benefits of becoming a bodhisattva. Yeah, we discussed 9. So the easiest one, we go into Buddha's family, and Buddha look at us as their children. All bodhisattvas look at us as their brothers and sisters. And then we become worthy of honor by others. Even the small deeds that we do is help us to become our practice in Mahayana. Or of course, we enter into Mahayana, and then we also, all the good deeds that we do become a practice of Mahayana, and so on, right? There are 9 benefits, right? Give the 7 steps in the cause and effect method for developing the wish for enlightenment. Explain briefly why each step is necessary for the next. So step number 1 is, okay, basically how to memorize 313, okay, 313. 3 plus 1 plus 3 equals 7. The first 3, recognize all beings as our mothers. And then step 2 is remember their kindness when they were our mothers. Step 3, decide to repay their kindness. Okay, 3. These 3 will create the love, ultimate love. This ultimate love, will create number 5, which is the ultimate compassion. And then after number 5, number 6 is Laksamnanda. The buck stopped at me. No matter what, I will do it myself, even if nobody wants to do it, no matter how difficult it is. And after we have Laksamnanda, we get into bodhicitta. Okay, 313. And then describe the preliminary practice that precedes this 7. It is the equanimity, right? Or equality. All right, so this is the homework. And we are going into the meditation. Okay, let's have a short water break before we do meditation, okay? A few minutes, okay? Or maybe let's come back at 5 minutes, in 5 minutes, 8:20, 8:22, okay? See you later.